Madam Chairperson, Mr. Bruce Boyne, Mrs. Boyne, other members of the Scotia family, members of the NEPA organization, members of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Stander, I believe, is here. It's very difficult to see with all the lights. Colleagues from the University of the West Indies, friends all, it really is a pleasure for me to be associated with this function this afternoon, associated with the Lionfish project. It is always a pleasure for me to invite friends here to the Biodiversity Center, the Marine Lab, Mona's Marine Lab here at Port Royal. And my complaint with Professor Weber and his lovely wife, Dr. Mona Weber, is that I would imagine only about 20% of our students actually get a chance to come out here and enjoy the facility that we have. An even smaller percentage of our population gets a chance to see the marine facility that we have here, the Biodiversity Center. So I'm really very pleased to welcome you all to the facility this afternoon. It's an even greater pleasure to be associated with a function that's associated with treating with one of the problems, the great challenges that we face in the marine life. You've already heard the kind of devastation that the lionfish will do to our biodiversity, and how quickly they multiply and how destructive they can be to all the other life forms on the reefs. The good thing about it is that they actually taste wonderful, as I think some of you have already determined from having sampled some of the menu. And so we hope to eat our way out of this epidemic. But before we can do that, we need to be able to ensure that all the necessary parties are informed of the appropriate ways of dealing with the lionfish. And we have a team, including Dane Badu, who you'll hear from in a moment, Dale Weber, and their team, who have been doing the research associated with the eradication of this epidemic, and working very closely with the folks at NEPA, who are the overall project managers for the lionfish eradication project, and of course with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries on this very important project. That we are joined by the Bank of Nova Scotia in this endeavor makes us all as a team very pleased, and we are very grateful to Mr. Boyne, to the team, for stepping up to the wicket and batting. The vehicle that is being provided will assist our researchers in their traversing across the country to ensure that all the fisher folk and all the relevant authorities are fully briefed on the processes for dealing with the challenge. Mr. Boyne just mentioned to me that aside from traveling out to Port Royal, where you have to traverse the streams that are there on the Port Royal road, he wondered about a vehicle in the process and whether we shouldn't have a boat. And I responded to him that I think a boat would do just fine as well. So I'm sure we will have more to say to the Scotia organization as they partner with us on this project. But in all seriousness, we are really very grateful. I think this will have a huge impact in the productivity with which we can proceed in implementing the project, both the research components and the outreach components of it. And we'd like to say a very special word of thanks to Mr. Boyne and the entire organization for their support, which is demonstrated so amply in the gift that you'll hear more about this afternoon. Thank you all again for coming out, and I hope you have a very pleasant remainder of the afternoon. Thank you.
Darlene, Mr. Lionfish. Good evening, everyone. You know, we have been invaded. We've been invaded by something, a fish that we really don't know much about. You know, and it's one of the things, you know, when you're fighting a war, the more you know about your enemy, the better it is for you to fight against this enemy. That is where the research comes in. And The university is one of those agencies in the region that's actually spearheading the research and understanding exactly what's happening, where it is vulnerable to attack this enemy that we know how to deal with. One of the hurdles that we have to cross is having persons understand that, very simple messages. The lionfish is not poisonous, it is venomous, it is easily handled, it is easily prepared. Trying to encourage consumption, but of course safe handling throughout all steps. That is the interim measure. In the meantime, the university as well as other regional and international organizations are working very hard to find ways of attacking this lionfish. To be frank with you, we will never get rid of the lionfish. It's impossible to get rid of something like this. The ocean is all connected. There's many places for the lionfish to hide. So we will never get rid of the lionfish. But one thing we can surely do is to control the numbers and have some handle on the impact that this lionfish is creating, not only in Jamaica, but being a regional university, advising the region and providing a lot of answers for the region as well. Today, it's very special that we actually did it this way. The lionfish that actually you are consuming and will be consuming for the rest of the evening actually came from close to one of our fish sanctuaries that were recently designated by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. They're actually from Bluefields Fish Sanctuary. And I did a rough estimate of the kind of impact that we've actually reduced by just this one event. The number of fish that we are actually consuming today will allow 1.5 million juvenile fish to be saved over the next year. One event, one activity. Okay? So I personally want to thank you, for encouraging persons to consume lionfish, encouraging persons to, be a part of the fight. Even if you're not going to consume it, get it out of the water. You'll hear about the partnerships that we've created with the Rainforest Seafood. We're actually trying to do a case study on how to commercialize properly something that you want to get rid of. It's a very tricky situation to actually try to commercialize and make money from something that you want to get rid of in the end, or to reduce the numbers significantly. We will be enhancing overexploitation of lionfish, not just consuming the adults, but consuming, more importantly, the juvenile lionfish before they start reproducing. So these are some of the activities, some of the messages that we want to actually get across. And we have been making strides in our research, and we're hoping that this will bear meaningful fruit in coming years. I won't preempt Mrs. Douglas, but we are part of a regional project on invasive species. And it's a very long name. It's mitigating the threats of invasive alien species in the insular Caribbean. And we're working very hard throughout this project to continue the research and hopefully bring about some amount of control within the region. Thank you all again for coming, and enjoy your evening.